Ladies and gentlemen, please raise your hand if you are related by blood or marriage to Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, William R. Bryan, or Ahmaud Arbery. If you please raise your hand if you, for any reason, have formed and expressed any opinion in regard to the guilt or innocence of the accused. Okay, I'm going to go through the line. The numbers sometimes are hard to see. So, ma'am, what is your number? 180? Thank you. 181. And if you keep your hands up just so I can get you. Okay. I'm sorry, when I call your number out, you can drop them, that's fine. 184. 165. Sir, you are 201, is that? 202. 204. 206, or is that an 8? 208. Okay, I think I've got it right. Thank you. Please raise your hand if you have any prejudice or bias resting on your mind, either for or against the accused. And then finally from the court, please raise your hand if your mind is not imperfectly impartial between the state and the accused. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all of the questions that I intend to ask. I'm going to turn this over now to the parties. Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge.
All right, from the state.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? All right. So my name is Paul Camarillo, and I represent the state of Georgia, along with Larissa Oliveira and Linda Danikoski, and we work under District Attorney Flynn Brody in Cobb County. Do you think you know any of us, or are y'all related to any of us? Anybody? Okay. No cards. Is there anyone here who doesn't currently reside in Glenn County? Anybody not reside in Glenn County? Anyone here under the age of 18? No cards. Is there anyone here who has been convicted of a felony and has not had their rights restored? No cards. Is there anyone here who sat on the grand jury that returned this indictment in June of 2020? No cards. Is there anyone here who currently works in law enforcement who is post-certified and has arrest powers either locally or federally? Is that 201? Okay. Yeah, what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you can take your cards actually off of your clothes for right now, unclip it, and if you have to raise your hand, raise that card up so I could see it, because it's kind of hard. They're kind of stuffed into your clothes and everything, and there's a glare that comes down, okay? All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. And then you can clip it back on at the end, okay? Is there anyone here who is 70 years of age or older and does not wish to serve? Anybody 70 or older and does not want to serve? Okay, no cards. Anyone here who is a full-time student currently enrolled in and attending classes? Attending classes full-time as a student. Okay, no cards. Is there anyone here who is the full-time caretaker of a child under the age of 6 years old and you don't have reasonable alternative care for that child? Child under 6. No cards. Is there anyone here who is the full-time caretaker of an elderly or disabled person, and yet there's no reasonable alternative for care? 180. Anyone else? Is there anyone here who has difficulty understanding the English language? Difficulty understanding English? No cards? Is there anyone here who has difficulty hearing? Difficulty hearing? No cards? All right, some of these next questions are going to be a little more in depth. Okay, if you think these questions apply to you or you're not sure, I want you to go ahead and raise your card anyway because we'll have a chance to clear that up at a later time, okay? So we anticipate that this trial will last roughly through November 19th, okay, from now to November 19th. Is there anyone here who has a non-work-related conflict or hardship, like a medical procedure, like you having heart surgery, you had vacation plans years ago that, or months ago that been scheduled and they're non-refundable, something like that? 57? Anyone else? Is there anyone here that's related by blood or marriage to the current Brunswick DA, Keith Higgins? Keith Higgins. Anybody related? Does anybody know Mr. Higgins? 151. Is there anyone here that's related by blood or marriage to the former DA, Jackie Johnson of the Brunswick Judicial Circuit? Anybody related? Does anybody know Ms. Johnson? 151. Is there anyone here who has an opinion about last year's election where DA Jackie Johnson was defeated by Keith Higgins? Anybody have an opinion about that? No cards. Is there anyone here who has an opinion about how or why the Cobb County DA's office was assigned to prosecute this case by the Georgia Attorney General? Anybody have an opinion? 180. Thank you. Is there anyone here who will be unable to give the state a fair trial because we're from Marietta and Cobb County and not from Glenn? Anybody that can't give us a fair trial because of that? No cards? Is there anyone here related by blood or marriage to the current Waycross Judicial Circuit DA, George Barnhill? Anybody know Mr. Barnhill? No cards? Does anybody here know George Barnhill Jr., a former Glenn County ADA who's now practicing law here in Brunswick? Anybody know George Barnhill Jr.? 151. Is there anyone here related by blood or marriage to the Atlantic Judicial Circuit DA, Tom Durden? The Atlantic Judicial Circuit, Tom Durden. Anybody related or know him? No cards. All right, we're going to talk about the defense attorneys. Does anybody here know Jason Sheffield or Bob Rubin? They represent Travis McMichael. Anybody know them? Okay. Anybody know Laura or Frank Hogue? Can y'all see them? Laura, Frank Hogue? No cards. And what about Kevin Goff over in the corner? Anybody know him? It's 151, 165. Does anybody here personally know any of the defendants? Travis McMichael, Greg McMichael, or William Bryan? 151 and 210. Does anybody here know Lindsay McMichael, the sister of Travis and daughter of Greg? Anybody know Lindsay McMichael? 210. Does anybody here know Lee McMichael, the wife of Greg and mother of Travis? 210. Does anybody know Miss Amy Elrod? Miss Amy Elrod, 151. Does anybody know Ahmaud Arbery? Anybody know Ahmaud Arbery? 165 124, and 209, and 162. Anybody here know Miss Wanda Cooper Jones? Anybody here know Miss Wanda Cooper Jones? She's the mother of Ahmaud Arbery. 162, 124, 165. Okay. Anybody know the father of Ahmaud Arbery? Marcus Arbery Sr. 124, 165. Anybody know Marcus Arbery Jr.? 165. Does anyone here know the judge, Judge Walmsley? Anybody know the judge? Has anyone here ever served on a jury? And I'm talking about going through the whole process. You were picked, you heard evidence, you deliberated, that sort of thing. Anybody here do that? 124, 208. And 124, were you the foreperson? Were you the foreperson? Okay. She said yes. And what about 208? Okay. Has anyone here ever served on a grand jury? Anyone here served on a grand jury? 202. Now, at some point leading up to the trial, there were some documents that were on the clerk's website. Did anyone go and look at the court documents related to this case on the clerk's website? I'm not talking about stuff related to the jury service, but actual court filings about this case. Anybody do that? And it's okay if you did. We just need to know. No, not the video, but the court documents that were uploaded to the court website. 180. 181. And again, nobody's going to be in trouble for that. We just need to know if you've looked at them. All right. Anyone here ever served in the military? Number, sir? You're okay. 201. Thank you, sir. Does anyone here have prior law enforcement training or prior law enforcement experience? 180. 201. Anyone here related to or have a close family friend who's involved in law enforcement? 57? 180? 151? 181? 201? 204? 205? 208, 209, 210. Please raise your hand if you've ever worked in the field of social work or have education in social work. 180. Please raise your card if you ever worked in the field of counseling, psychology, or psychiatry or have a background in those fields. 180. Please raise your card if you have any experience in the legal field. Any experience in the legal field? 151. Please raise your card if you have any work experience in the criminal justice system. And that could include probation, counseling, prisons, advocacy, going out to the prison system. Anybody? 180. Anybody else? 201. Please raise your card if you have a close family friend or are related to somebody who works in a DA's office, here or anywhere. Somebody that works in a DA's office. 181. Does anyone here have any medical training? I'm not talking CPR, but something more formal, medical training. Any medical training? No cards? Is anyone here related to a criminal defense attorney? Blood or marriage related to a criminal defense attorney? No cards? Does anyone here personally know an attorney who works in the criminal justice field, whether a prosecutor, criminal defense attorney, something like that? 151, 180. Okay, if you think it applies to you, just raise your card and we'll discuss it when we go into the next room, okay? All right, now it's 180. Is there anyone here who's had a bad experience with law enforcement, such that it sticks out in your mind? Bad experience with law enforcement. No cards. What about good experience with law enforcement? 180. 181. 124. 151. 208. 205, 210. Is there anyone here who's had a bad experience with the prosecutor? Anybody bad experience with the prosecutor? Anybody here have a bad experience with a criminal defense lawyer? Bad experience with a criminal defense lawyer? No cards? Please raise your card if you've ever been accused, prosecuted, or convicted of any crime, DUI or greater. So think DUI or greater. Arrested, whether you were convicted or not, prosecuted or convicted. 57, 151, 210. Okay. Please raise your card if you have a close relative or a close friend who's ever been accused, arrested, or convicted of a crime, DUI or greater. Close friend or family. 57, 162, 195, 199, 180, 184, 124, 165, 151, 204, 208, 209, and 210. Please raise your card if you have ever been falsely accused of a crime, whether it involved the police or not. Falsely accused of a crime. 180, 205, 209. Please raise your hand if a close relative or close friend has ever been falsely accused of a crime. Anybody have a close friend or family falsely accused of a crime? 208. Anybody else? All right. Please raise your hand if you've ever been the victim of a violent crime or a crime against your person. Victim of a violent crime, like an assault, something like that. Okay, no cards. Please raise your card if a close relative or close family friend has ever been the victim of a violent crime or crime against their person. 151, 180, 124, 165. Okay. Has anyone here ever witnessed a crime in progress, violent crime in progress? Witnessed a crime in progress, okay. Anyone here ever taken cell phone video of a crime in progress? Anybody taken cell phone video of a crime in progress? No? Please raise your card if you or a close relative or close friend have ever been the victim of a burglary or a home invasion. You, close family friend, burglary or home invasion. 162, 195, 180, 181, 151, 208, 209. Please raise your card if you, a close relative or close friend, has ever had a firearm stolen out of their home or car. Firearm stolen out of home or car. 57. That's 208. Okay. Has anyone here ever had to call 911 or the police to report a crime or like a DUI or something? And we're not talking about like a basic car accident, but some sort of crime in progress or DUI. Call 911. 57. Has anyone here ever had to give a statement to law enforcement? And not talking about a little fender bender or traffic accident, but a statement to law enforcement in some other way. Okay. 180. 181. Okay. Has anyone here ever had to be a witness in a trial? Ever been a witness in a trial? 180. 178. 124. 151. Is there anybody here who has taken it upon themselves to investigate a crime? Anybody taken it upon themselves to investigate a crime outside of your work capacity? No cards? Please raise your cards if you know somebody who's ever taken it upon themselves to investigate a crime outside of their work capacity. No cards? All right, so take a look around, and I want you to tell me if you recognize any juror here, and think also about when you were at Selden Park the first day, whether you recognize any juror there. It's a two-part question, okay? So think about if you recognize somebody, but also, because of the nature of that relationship, if you were both chosen, you would not be able to make your own decision about the case. Okay? So if you know somebody like maybe your boss or a sibling or parent, something like that about that relationship, they would not let you make your own decision. People in here or people at Selden Park? Any other jurors? Any other potential jurors? Nobody? Okay. Does anyone here not own a gun or keep a gun in your home? Anybody here not own a gun? 57, 162, 195, 178, and this includes spouses, okay? 151, 180, 165, 204, 202, 184, 135. Maybe.
The last two again.
184 and 135? Yeah, you do not own a gun. Or somebody in your home does not own it. You do not have a gun in your home. 208, if you have a question about it, we'll clear that up, okay? 208. 210. Yeah, I'll try to go on. Has anyone here ever carried a gun as part of their job? 180 and 201. Has anyone here ever had firearms training outside of their work? Well, work too, it's fine. 180, 181, 151, 201. Please raise your hand if you've lived in Glynn County for less than 5 years. Less than 5 years. 195, 201, 205, 208. Does anyone here currently live in the Satilla Shores neighborhood? Satilla Shores. 210. Anyone here previously lived in Satilla Shores? Previously lived. Is anyone here especially familiar with Satilla Shores because maybe some friends or family live there? 178. 180. 199. 57. 209. Does anyone here currently live in the Royal Oaks neighborhood? Royal Oaks community? No cards. Anyone here previously lived in Royal Oaks? Okay, no cards. Anyone here familiar with Royal Oaks neighborhood? Especially familiar, maybe friends or family live there, you go there quite a bit? 180. 181. 199. 201. Anyone here currently live in Fancy Bluff? Fancy Bluff neighborhood? No cards. Anyone here previously live in Fancy Bluff? 151. 202. Is there anyone here especially familiar with Fancy Bluff because friends, family, other people live there? 180. 199. 165. 202. Okay. Is there anybody here have a religious, moral, or ethical conviction that if we decide you're the perfect juror and you get chosen for this jury, that you would not be able to hear evidence and deliberate and come to some sort of conclusion on the case? So passing judgment, right, about the case. Anybody here could not do it because some sort of religious, moral, or ethical reason. You get in the back and you're just not going to listen to anybody. You're not going to deliberate at all. Okay? Does anybody here have a private reason for not being able to do so? Some sort of private reason. 57. 162. 204. Is there anyone here who does not belong to a religious, fraternal, or social organization? So something like a, church, mosque, synagogue, Rotary, book clubs. You just don't belong to any sort of groups. No groups at all. 181. 195. 184. 201. 208. 209. And 135. Please raise your card if you or a close family friend has ever been arrested and you believe you were treated unfairly by the police. You or a close family friend arrested and believed were treated unfairly by the police. 165. 208. 209. Please raise your hand if you... Oh, 57. Thank y'all. Anybody else? No? Okay. Please raise your hand if you or a relative or close family friend has ever been arrested or convicted of kidnapping or false imprisonment. kidnapping, or false imprisonment? No cards? Please raise your card if you or a close family friend or relative has ever been arrested for shooting someone or shooting at somebody. Arrested or convicted for shooting someone or shooting at somebody. No cards? Please raise your card if you or a close family friend or relative has ever been arrested or convicted of murder of any type. Murder of any type. 184. Is there anybody here who feels that they will not be able to follow the law that the judge gives you if you disagree with that law, or you think that that's not what the law should be? Anybody here think they'll disagree with the law and not be able to follow it? Okay. No cards? Is there anybody here who wants to serve on this jury? You just want to be on this jury? 205, 195. Okay. At this point, I'm going to have my colleague, Linda Dunikowski, come up and read you a list of witnesses, and we're going to see if you recognize anybody, okay? Okay. And what number is that? What's your number? 208. Medical training. Before we do the witness list, is there anybody who failed to raise their cards to a previous question that I
Hold on
had
just
asked?
a second.
Could we get a deputy?
When you describe a juror in distress, I thought somebody had
Yeah.
fallen out.
No, he's got it. Well,
Okay, I understand, yeah.
good. All right. 204?
Well, hold on just a second.
Oh. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, and sir, if you need to get up, just let the deputy know that right there, and we'll go ahead and allow you to do so. Thank you.
Anybody here failed to raise their card to a previous question? Now that you're thinking about it? Okay, 204? What's the question? A hardship? Okay.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if I could just make sure that you speak up a little bit, so when you're speaking, just make sure the court reporter can hear you. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. All right, what's going to happen now is I'm going to read you a list of potential witnesses here, and we're trying to determine if you recognize that name and may know that person, okay? So I'm going to try and move quickly through it. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to hear a name, and then the next name, flag me down. Feel free to go, oh, hold on, I know somebody, because we want to make sure we get everything down, all right? So the first section we're going to do Glenn County police officers, all right? So we've got William Duggan, Sheila Ramos, Chris Lowther. 151, okay. 151, I'm going to assume, given your position, that you may know a lot of Glenn County police officers. All right, so I'm not going to have you raise your hand. I'm going to note down that you know a number of Glenn County police officers, and we're going to talk to you about that later. So that's 151. And 180?
Let me ask you a question. What if you don't, you may not know their name, but they live in your neighborhood and you've seen them?
I'm going to go ahead and have you raise your card, because what we'll do is when we talk to you individually, we'll go ahead and explore that. All right? Now, Juror 180, do you feel that applies to a number of Glenn County police officers? Okay. So what we'll do is I won't have you keep raising your card for all of them. We'll talk to you 151 and 180 individually about Glenn County police officers. Okay? And Juror 180, who did you recognize?
A lot.
A lot of them. So 180 will do the same with you. I'm sorry, 181. Does this apply to anybody else? And 205, you also know a number of Glenn County police officers. All right. All right, for the rest of you, I'll go ahead and go through the list, see if you may recognize a name. So we did William Duggan, Sheila Ramos, Chris Lowther, Ricky Shane Minshew, Jeffrey Brandenberry, Adam Jackson, Parker Marcy, Roderick Noheely, Caitlin Roberts Phillips. Oh, we got a Noheely back there, 210. Right. Brad Butler, Caitlin Roberts Phillips, Stephen Lowry, Brandon Gregory, Diana Bibby, Sherry Batchelor. With the 911 call center for Glenn County, we have Kara Richardson, Jamie Dunwoody. Back to Glenn County PD, Christopher Hatcher, Robert Rash, Officer Powers, Stansberry, Owens, and Ronald Cooper, Glenn County Sheriff's Office, Detective Stephanie Herndon Britt. You know Stephanie Britt? That's 181. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. There are two types of people. They are special agents, like detectives, and then there's the crime lab people. So we're going to talk about the special agents first. So we have Jason Seacrest, Lawrence Kelly, Matthew Heath, Richard Dial, Brian Smith, Garrett Morton, Amanda Barker, and Jennifer Woodward. All right, so with the crime lab, James Jim Gordon, Amanda Cook, Jesse Worley, Ann Kistler Rao, Brian Leopard, Dr. Edmund Donahue. So now we're going to talk about non-law enforcement people. So we have Joe Mandela, Joseph Allen Bartlett, Sue B. Lawrence, 210, Annabelle Beasley, 210, Christy Barber, Matt Albenzi, John Ronald Olson, who goes by Ronnie Olson, 57. You know Ronnie Olson? Diego Perez and his wife Brooke Perez. Larry English and Amy English. Kelly Parr or her father Randall Parr. 202. Daniel Alcott, Christine Alcott, Judith Alcott, Kim Ballesteros, Carol Flowers, Lauren Bennett, Linda Randall, Ashley Wittenberg, Ashley Wittenberg, 210, Danielle Stoddard, Cynthia Drummond, James Trimmings, Catherine Miles, Cody Johannes, Derek Thomas, Derek Thomas, 165. Hillary Lauren Brady Germano, Josh McGowan, Kyle Meissner, Nicole Lee Joyner, Russ Wayne Johnson, Zach Langford, 181 and 151 for Zach Langford. How about Zach Langford's wife? 181 and 151 too. Heaven Bryan, Peyton Thompson, Heaven Bryan for 151. And Peyton? Okay, so 151 for Peyton Thompson and Heaven Bryan. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. The state will hand this over to the defense.
Mr. Sheffield.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody. Okay, we've about 20 minutes left. I'm going to do the same thing. The state's done a lot of heavy lifting, though, so we're not going to really repeat those questions. As you can imagine, we've experienced a lot of honesty in this courthouse over the last week and a half, and that is perfect. That's what we want. Brutal honesty about your thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and you will not be hurting our feelings by saying the things or sharing the things with us. We've been hearing it, and we will receive it professionally and kindly. With that being said, now that we've been sitting here for about an hour, I wanted to make sure we didn't have anyone that recognized my client, Travis McMichael, formerly with the Coast Guard, formerly with Metson Marine. I don't know if that places him in a different way to you. No one? Okay, thanks. His father, Greg McMichael, I think you may have indicated already, 151. Do you recognize? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And 210. Very good. And then, and 202. All right, perfect. 57 for Travis. For Travis. And lastly, Mr. Roddy Bryan. And if you can't see, you're welcome to come around the corner. Okay. 181. 151. 165. Perfect. Did I miss? 210. 210. Did you also raise your card? Thank you so much. All right, so we assume you've seen a lot, heard a lot, read a lot, talked about a lot, had opinions about a lot. In terms of what you've heard before coming to court today, do any of you have a negative opinion of Travis McMichael? Raise your card if you do. A negative opinion, it's okay. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. A negative opinion, all right? And I'll include in that Greg McMichael and Roddy Bryant. You can just raise your cards and we'll drill down on it when we get into one-on-one. 180, 181, 162, 195, 165, 204, 208, and 210. Thank you. All right. How about the folks that represent the men who are accused? Criminal defense lawyers. Sometimes people have a negative opinion about criminal defense lawyers for doing the work that we do, or working with the people who are accused of crimes. If you have a negative opinion about us, it doesn't hurt our feelings. We just like to talk about it, maybe change your mind. No cards. Okay. Please indicate if you've ever decided to support or vote for a political candidate who had as part of their platform the idea to limit gun laws, to limit whether that be carry laws or the type of weapons that are in circulation, to limit gun laws in any way. If you have supported that, please raise your card. 202. Thank you. Generally speaking, is there anyone here that opposes laws that allow people to carry firearms, openly or concealed, out into the public, out into the world, into their cars, what have you? 195, 202, 209. Very good. Please raise your card if you participated in any way with any of the demonstrations or marches centered on social justice issues, very important issues, happening in the state and the community across the country. If you have participated in any way prior to the shooting, in this case, or even afterwards, that you've gone out and stood and listened or walked or contributed in any way. 162, 165. Very good, thank you. And I'm sorry, I see now that we have condensed this question. I'm going to ask it in another way. Also, in that regard, have any of you supported the Black Lives Matter movement or the I Run with Maud or Justice for Ahmaud, whether that be a bumper sticker or a sign in the yard? A lot of people post on social media, you share the tweet or you share the Facebook post. That too is a sign of support, and we'd like to know if you have supported that in any way, passed somebody else's post along, etc. Okay, 162, 181. It's possible. Okay, 180, 199, 124, 165, 204, 209. Thank you. Please raise your card if you feel that you have ever been denied an opportunity, whatever that opportunity means to you, because of your ethnicity or your race. If you feel like you've ever been denied an opportunity because of your race, raise your card. 209. Thank you. Please indicate if you feel you have ever been falsely accused of doing something wrong because of your ethnicity or your race. We've heard a lot about this over the last week and a half. Yes, ma'am. 180. 124. 209. Do you agree with this statement? The old Georgia flag, the one that flew from 1956 to 2002, taken off the flagpoles around the state of Georgia, is a racist symbol. Raise your card if you feel that flag was a racist symbol. Apologies? The Connecticut flag? Well, I'm talking about the Georgia flag. Okay. All right, no problem. No problem. It was one, we'll maybe follow up with you, but it's 209. Is that correct? Is that your number, 209? Okay. In case there's any confusion, we may follow up with you about it. But all right, so no one here thinks that the old Georgia flag. Very good. Please raise your card if you agree. People of color are not treated fairly in the criminal justice system. Raise your card. 57, 180, 181, 184. Okay, sorry. 162. 195. 199. 124. 135. 165. 208. 209. Police in this country do not treat black and white folks equally. Police in this country, if you feel whether it's a local or a state or a national issue, in your opinion, they don't treat black and white folks equally. 57, 180, 181, 184. The entire second row. 162, 195, 199, 124, 135, 165, 204, 208, and 209. Thank you. Do you think, or who thinks, that a psychologist or a psychiatrist can find a mental illness in just about anybody? Kind of a comment on your thoughts about the field of psychology and psychiatry and diagnosis. 181 and 208. Thank you. If you have an opinion about the lapse of time between the incident date, in this case, February 23rd, and the arrest date in May of 2020, if you have an opinion about that lapse of time, for any reason, whatever it is, please indicate by raising your card. 180. 181, 199, 124, 165, 202, 204, 208, and 210. Now I want to talk with you about your attention during trial. The trial may last 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to probably have a regular work day of 9 to 5 with some breaks, a morning break, lunch break, afternoon break. And so we definitely want to have your full attention during the time that we're presenting evidence. Is there anything going on at home or at work, anything going on in your life of importance to you that you feel will impair your ability to give your full attention during court hours? And you're concerned about it because we're concerned about not having your attention. 57, 178, 180, and 204. Now, under the category of mental or physical impairment or psychological sensitivities or issues, visual or hearing impairment, if those things could lend to your ability to be impaired in sticking with us and following the trial, paying attention, if you have any issue that you're concerned about that will impair your ability to be present in court, 57, 151, and 204. Okay, very good, thank you. And lastly, are any of you concerned about your safety or anything about your life and family, career, professionalism, whatever it is, based on your serving on this jury and rendering a verdict in this case. If you were to be chosen to be a juror on this case, is anybody concerned about being a juror on this case? And that it could impact you after the case is over? 181, 124, 151, 204, and 208. Very good. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you, Aaron.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sheffield. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is we're going to take a short recess. During the recess, I'm going to ask that you step out of the jury assembly room. We're going to take about 10 minutes, and then you're going to return back into this room. And as I indicated, what's going to happen is the participants in the trial are going to move into the courtroom, and then there's the possibility you may be called into the courtroom for some follow-up questions. Now, during this recess, and from this point forward, I've got some instructions that I need you to adhere to. First, do not discuss, I always lose my voice in the middle of this part. I don't know why. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves or with anybody else. Don't go looking for any information about the case. And if anybody approaches you about the case, please let that person know that you are not going to speak with them, and please notify the court so that we understand what's happening. So again, don't go talking to people about the case amongst yourselves or with anybody else. Don't get on your phones and start talking to your spouses or friends or whoever it may be during the recess or from this point forward. Don't go looking for any information about the case. So again, don't pick up the newspaper. If you got a news feed, shut it off. Anything that may give you information about this case, you need to make sure that you avoid it. Again, if somebody approaches you, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So again, we're going to recess for about 10 minutes. Then you're going to come back into this room. As I said, I appreciate your patience in this process. We're going to be moving through, and again, with some individual questioning, and that takes a little bit of time. So please bear with us. Thank you for being here. Again, we can't do this without you, so your presence here is truly appreciated. All right, we'll take about a 10-minute recess. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.